This is making me really uncomfortable.
Hey, Jarek here, and as of right now, Entropy 02 is easily my mod of the year. I can't see anything else overtaking it. In fact, this mod is so good that if they wanted to package the original Entropy 0 and Entropy 02 and release it on Steam for like 25 bucks, I'd be more than happy to buy it. This is effectively a full production game on the Source engine. I mean, hell, if they allowed Hunt Down the Freeman on Steam, I don't see why they wouldn't allow this one.
You fucked up my face.
In the original Entropy 0, you play as a Metro cop by the name of Adrian Walker, or as they call you in-game, 3650. No connection to Adrian Shepard, by the way. But yes, in a sense, Entropy 0 is the Half-Life opposing force of Half-Life 2. And I would highly recommend you go back and play Entropy 0 before playing Entropy 02. They're both fantastic mods. At the beginning of Entropy 02, you get a promotion. You are now one of the elite. You know, one of those Combine units in the white armor. This means you can boss other Combine around. In-game, what this translates to is that you can walk up to one of the Combine, press E, and take them into your squad. So all of the Combine won't start following you just immediately right away like the rebels in Half-Life 2. They're also a lot better at taking orders, because if you tell them to go somewhere, they will actually stay there until you tell them to come back. There's also some animations when you're dealing with these squad mechanics, which is pretty neat. Entropy 02 takes place right at the end of Half-Life 2. The advisors task you with hunting down and capturing Judith Mossman. Okay, so that's pretty standard for playing on the opposing side. You want to stop the protagonist of Half-Life 2. But what I didn't expect was some fantastic writing and good voice acting. You will come to love your main character. I was going out of my way to look at everything just to see if you would say some snarky one-liner about a poster on a wall or something. Adrian talks all the time in combat, but it never becomes annoying or frustrating. It's always something different, and I just chuckle at almost everything he says. He comes across as sarcastic and psychotic, but has a backstory that's rather tragic. What I also didn't expect was for this mod to blend in Aperture Science and a character called Wilson. Wilson is a turret that you can quite literally carry with you throughout the entire game. And much like Adrian Walker, Wilson has some fantastic writing and good voice acting.
What's all this stuff doing here?
Hey, who are you calling weird? You are the one with two legs.
What the hell? Who the hell are you?
Oh, I'm Wilson. You're actually taking me? I don't have to be alone anymore?
You might have your uses.
Oh, thank you.
Shut up.
Sorry. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. How loud was that?
Did you
Just, forget that happened.
With that said, these characters aren't just funny asshole characters throughout the entire game. They have genuine character arcs. Adrian is going to start rather cold to this turret and find him as just an annoying tool he has to carry with him till the end of that chapter. What's even better is that after you beat the chapter where you need Wilson, you can just leave him behind. However, I find most players take Wilson with them because they grew attached to this character. And I would highly advise you do this. There is a lot more dialogue that Wilson has, and it quite literally will change the end of the game, no spoilers. Just be sure to watch after the end of the credits. The only complaint I have about this is that occasionally it can be a total pain to carry this turret with you throughout the entire game. Now, usually Entropy 02 is quite good with this. You can place this turret on top of a vehicle you're driving, for example, and he's out of the way, you don't have to worry about it. However, occasionally you are carrying him around and setting him down and then fighting enemies and picking him back up, and it would have been better if you just had like a backpack or something you could put him on. With that said, this is only really a problem the first time you play the game because you want to hear all this dialogue. Then after you've heard it, if you replay it again, you probably won't take Wilson with you. I digress. That little bit of hindrance is more than worth it. The voice acting itself is more than decent, and the filters they put over the voices keep you in the moment. There's also one more character, another Combine that seems to try to impede you at every stop. I won't say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil the story, and believe it or not, for a mod, the story is actually a big appeal to this game. Graphically, this game does not try to change anything major. It is using the Source engine, and it clearly looks like a Source engine game. It also feels like a Source engine game, including all the Source engine jank that you would expect. Fucking... Oh my god! The hunter killed me! My friendly hunter!
Orange.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, you're not okay.
God damn it. What happens if I jump on this? Can I go? Hunter, what are you doing? No. This is the worst situation. What are you doing? I can't move. Oh my god, I made it. Now he's stuck. Why? Why did you do that? Got it all alone over there. Uh-oh. It's getting worse. Well. I didn't think that would happen. I thought it would break and it would like float and just die. But it's just gone. They didn't add any crazy effects or anything like that. However, they did add a bunch of content that was not in base Half-Life 2. For example, maybe they brought back Half-Life 1 enemies like the Bull Squid. Or maybe they brought in opposing force enemies like the Pit Drone. Or maybe they even brought in Half-Life 1 beta enemies like this flying bat thing I'm forgetting the name of.
Can I pick these up or will they just hurt me?
Oh my god! Hold on, let's do it again. Alright, sure. Stukabat. I don't know why I sounded Russian, but that's the name of it. Or maybe they added entirely new enemies to the Half-Life universe. I mean, you buy it for like $3. What? Headcrab Vortigons?
I've seen it all.
As for the weapons, to say that it has Half-Life 2's roster would be misleading. Because, well, yeah, most of the weapons are from Half-Life 2, they feel entirely different. All of these weapons have totally new animations, have totally new sound effects, have a ton more recoil, and do a lot more damage, both to the enemies and to you. This makes the combat so much more satisfying. Half-Life 2's combat was serviceable, but not great. It usually relied on whatever gimmick was happening in that chapter. In this case, the core combat just feels flat out good. You don't even have to play the game. I'll just play a few clips and you'll immediately know what I'm talking about.
That's me.
That said, they also did add in some new weapons. The first one is an MP5K, which I at first thought would be a bit redundant because you already have an MP7. That was until I realized the MP5K has a hyperburst for some reason. Its split function is just full auto, yeah, but the hyperburst allows it to be a little bit more accurate than the MP7 without invalidating the AR2. Later on in the game, they add in a new variant of the AR2. This has a deeper magazine and a different reload and is more or less just an upgrade to the AR2 you already had. And finally, your starting pistol is actually useful for the whole game. The pistol you get at the beginning is a pulse pistol. Its default shot will fire 2 bullets at once. If you hold down right click, it will slowly charge up more ammo and fire a shotgun burst. Oh my god. This pistol is actually sick. This is devastatingly strong, but does have to recharge. As I said, this will remain useful throughout the entire game. But last and certainly not least are the Zen grenades. Yep, you heard that right. Zen grenades. These Zen grenades effectively act like a black hole, sucking anyone nearby to Zen. And when this grenade collapses, it will spawn in something from Zen. This may be resources or an alien enemy, frequently using Half-Life 1 assets. Hell, at one point in the game, you actually come across Half-Life 1 style headcrabs and Half-Life 1 style zombies. It's little attention to details like this, it's so cool to me. In fact, it's really obvious to see what the inspirations are for certain chapters in the game. For example, you can tell the dev was working on this game early on when Half-Life Alyx released, because there's a chapter in this game that is just Jeff 2.0. I hear a noise.
So, I should probably tell you about the gigantic man-eating monster.
Oh, you think now would be a good time?
Your clone called him Plan B.
What'll I up against here?
Well, your clone was feeding at the folks from upstairs. It got kinda big.
Great.
My advice? Just hide from it. Look for vents or spaces he can't reach.
What about you?
Oh, he isn't interested in me. How about, fleshy?
And to be honest, this is one of my complaints of the mod. This chapter is just not as good as other games we played that do the same thing. For example, Alien Isolation does the same thing but much better on a flat screen, and Half-Life Alyx has Jeff in VR. Thankfully, the writing with Wilson and your main character kind of make up for it, and it's not necessarily bad, it's just passable, which is kind of a problem when the rest of the mod is really good. Have you ever made something so good having one thing that's just okay is kind of a problem? Anyway, my main real problem with this chapter is just where it is in the game. This chapter is very early on. You barely get your footing into the combat, and then it suddenly comes to an abrupt halt with this chapter. It again makes up for it by having a climactic boss battle at the end, which is pretty neat. And overall, again, it's definitely not bad, but I found myself going through the motions kind of just trying to get through this chapter. It doesn't help that this scary creature that you're avoiding is just a gnome and isn't quite as freaky or disgusting as Jeff was.
Look how close I am to it, Terry.
Oh, no.
Or as captivating as, say, a xenomorph. Yeah, it just kind of exists. To be clear though, being inspired by Half-Life Alyx is not a bad thing. In fact, later on in the mod, you also see this wall of Vortigaunt glowing writing, scribbles, I don't know what to call this, but yeah, it was clear he was playing Alyx while working at this part of the game. There's also another chapter that is basically the Highway 17 chapter, except for in the APC, which is awesome. I know so many people that have wanted to drive one of these things in an actual game for years, and now you finally can outside of like Gary's mod or something. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this took me just under 7 hours, and after you beat the game, there's some bonus maps and even workshop support, which I didn't expect. At first, I didn't know what the point of workshop support was, but then I actually looked at the workshop.
Entropy 01 port. Okay, this actually makes sense. M mod style ART. Okay, subtitle skill times 3 makes sense.
Fart with reverb for explosions. All right, well, mods are doing what they do best. Entropy 02 is free, and it is easy to download as it's on Steam. I would highly recommend you play. And also, I would highly recommend you play the first game as well. But that about sums it up. Thank everyone that joined me over on Twitch while I marathon through this game. If you want to go follow my Twitch, you can click down at the bottom right there. For those of you that subscribe on Twitch, you can see my videos at least 1 week at a time. Usually you get more than that. And also, a big thanks goes to all of you for watching this video.